Today is January 21st, 2018. I'm Tom. I'm here with John. Today we're going to be talking about information and all the knowledge that's available on the internet and in books and on the news and social media.
Well, let me just say this. So, yeah, it seems very topical, right? Like, everyone's talking about it. We have so much information around. How do we deal with this as a society and not just go into these groups of echo chambers, which that's like a buzzword right now. Everyone has their own echo chambers. Everyone stays in their own corner of the internet and just keeps on repeating the same stuff over and over again until they're basically brainwashed into a different reality or their own, reality. So this is like an interesting problem that we're going to have to figure out as a society is how do we deal with just the mass of information out there. For a long time, the fear maybe among people, like a general fear, is that if you have a tyrannical government that controls information, and there are governments today that control information, you can't go to certain websites, you can get certain books, etc. And but now in the Western world, we seem to have almost an opposite. It's an opposite effect, but it has similar consequences because we have so much information being thrown at us that we're still we're not being controlled by government, but we're still not getting truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just comes down to education.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's a success. If one were to say which is better, the tyrannical government controlling information, but at least the information is maybe helpful for society, or a complete openness to information, and you get echo chambers and disinformation being spread. Obviously, in Norway and Germany, they have access to all the information, but people are educated enough to figure out what's the right facts or maybe it doesn't have to deal with truth necessarily, but if you just keep on looking at the same things over and over again, and you don't see the other side of the story, you can have a distorted version of reality or what's really going on.
These conversations clearly aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
Going in circles. It's like polarizing us instead of bringing us together. So
exactly.
There's got to be like a better way for us to, for us to have these debates.
Yeah, and I can't. It's hard to tell. My gut says that more information would help the situation. Okay, so you have an issue where two people just cannot find common ground on an issue. How do you solve that problem? You'd think that more information would be, an abundance of knowledge would be the simple answer, because the truth will emerge from that abundance of knowledge. But there's some issues where it's like no matter how much knowledge, it seems like people are not coming together on what should be facts and truth that is that there's a consensus around.
Like right now, I told you that I was spoken to by an angel, and this angel told me that there's a God, and his name is Jeffrey, and he hates people who listen to R&B. You would immediately laugh at me, and that would be the end of it. But once ideology like this gets to a certain point, it's like unstoppable, and it just keeps multiplying. And so at this point, it's like echo chambers. It just goes on, generation after generation, and it's such a strong thing. It's so hard to like break it, because obviously most of those ideas fail immediately. Most myths just never get going.
Mm-hmm. And you have to assume, though, that the access to information and having abundance of information available at Google must help that situation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's no question about that. There's certain fears, because with social media, misinformation can get spread so quickly, and like the trolls, the troll army that the media has been talking about a lot, the Russian bots and fake stories produced by Russia that were spread around all over the place in the U.S. To make Hillary look worse than she was. that can cause serious issues in a democracy. So like it seems obvious that it must be a benefit, but that's with the understanding that people are smart enough to look at different sources and be more aware of something more than just headlines or what their friends are saying on Facebook. Yeah. So I think it takes some work on the user to make it all work out. And there's so much power with the specific word choices, you know? Yeah. It's so incredible. Or just the facts of the latest realization that I've had, because I've been looking at a lot of right-leaning news outlets and talk show personalities to see what's going on over there, because I don't watch right-wing media, really, but I think it's good to look at, just to understand what's going on, or what they're talking about. And it seems like most of it's not wrong, you know, what they're saying isn't factually incorrect, but they keep on, it's really about narrative. So, and the left media probably does this as well. They do it as well to a large degree. You're presenting facts, but you're presenting facts only that push a certain agenda. And that seems so obvious to me that I say now, but it was kind of like a realization, because I thought they were just lying. I thought they were just like completely and saying untruths, but they're saying truths, but every time they say, every hour is spent saying truths that only push a certain thought process about immigration or war or what have you. So, yeah, it's not just the information, but it's what type of information you're getting. Like, you need to make sure that you're getting an even spread to really find the truth. To find not the truth, but the reality. You know what I mean? It's not just about truth. It's about understanding the whole truth, seeing from a larger perspective. Yeah, you're looking at extremes of a movement. Right. Just like, you know, it's the Black Lives Matter movement. Yeah. Like, the only thing that the right-wing media was talking about was one chant that they did at one rally where they said, you know, kill cops now or whatever, or something like that. And so they just kept on playing that over and over on a loop, right? And then nothing else. There's no interviews with them. There's no footage of the other rallies. You're just showing one little bit of an entire movement, which is similar to the Muslims, I think, where you show one tiny fraction of a giant population, and that skewers the reality of what actually is happening. You have to point to direct evidence to say why you think conservatism is going to be better for society, or why social services are going to be better for society. You know what? That loyalty aspect, I think, really carries over into the red states and, like, extreme conservatism, like the Bible Belt's conservatives. And it really seems like, yeah, my mom, my dad, my whole family, my town, we all believe in conservatism, so you have to be loyal. And if you can't be skeptical, you know, there's something to that. This belief that it's like you're on this side, the team mentality. And I'm not saying that it's just with them either. Obviously, it happens with Democrats too, where it's this whole, like, team dynamic where you have to be either with them or against them.
Skepticism is a good thing. You know, skepticism is what makes us so intelligent. It's what prevents us from just believing anything someone tells us.
Be skeptical.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the show.
Yeah.
Continue to be skeptical. It worked with Socrates, although he got killed for it. So maybe it didn't work for him. But it's amazing that you can see the skeptical thinking it just happened like 2,000 years ago. Like it was happening then. And it still took us so long to get to any semblance of truth concerning reality. Really interesting stuff.